How's it going, everyone? We are coming back at you again with another Technical Tuesday. Today we are going to focus on the Turkish Get Up. It is a movement that many times when we program it for classes, we get a lot of groans. A lot of people aren't necessarily looking forward to them, but everybody by the end of it, they do enjoy doing the movement. It is a complex movement, but it is also a beautiful movement, and that's why we find so much joy in watching people perform that movement. It really is a great exercise that works on so many different facets of what we need to be fit. It allows us to work on our stability, our balance, our coordination, our range of motion, just to name a few. So today, just like we did with the toes to bar video, we're going to break it down for you into 3 different tiers, and the steps not only to progress or get better at Turkish get-ups, but also some key points we like to think about while we're doing the Turkish get-up that allows us to remember the different positions, because I do know it can be overwhelming. Hope you enjoy. Okay, so before we get started, we like to have our new clients and people that haven't done them in a while, and actually everyone, to be honest, perform a couple accessory exercises. And this for us just allows us to demonstrate that they have the strength, that they have the core stability, that they have the shoulder stability, and that they have the coordination to perform the movement. Again, it's a great thing for new clients or new people who haven't done this movement to start and then progress through. Or if it's been a while since you've done them, you might want to refer back to these exercises to hit them just as a little refresher. Or if it's one of those instances where you want to go a little bit heavier in weight, but you're having a hard time actually doing the heavy weight in the workout, you can always do some of these movements to allow you to build that strength necessary to progress to those heavier loads. So we are going to start with our single arm kettlebell sit-up. So for this, you notice I'm holding one kettlebell in one of my arms. I'm letting the weight of the kettlebell push that scap back into that floor. Keeping my feet flat here, I'm really engaging that core, and I'm thinking about throwing or leading with my chest as I keep my arms straight. For this, you guys can either look straight ahead or you can look up at the dumbbell or kettlebell. It's totally up to you on what feels the most comfortable. What we really want to try to eliminate, though, is a very aggressive throwing of the head forward. We still want to make sure that we're using those abdominals and that we're really using that core to propel ourselves up. For this, what we like to do is 3 sets of 10 per side. Ideally, you could start with a 5-pound dumbbell. If that feels a little bit light, you can progress to a 10, a 15. I personally wouldn't go much heavier than a 35 or a 44. At that point, you're kind of outside of that range of keeping good form. But again, it's going to be totally up to you and what you're capable of. After we felt comfortable with our single arm kettlebell sit-ups, what we like to work on next is our tall kneeling to standing. Here, what you'll notice is I'm holding 2 kettlebells in that front rack position. What I like to think about is giving myself knuckles, and I like to think about driving those elbows down. Keeping those scaps, shoulder blades, pinched nice and tight and back. From there, core engaged always, tushy engaged always. I'm gonna lead one knee at a time as I stand. So I'll step up with my right heel, drive through that, and then trail with my left. I'll go back down in reverse order. Then I will go to my left leg, leading with that knee, driving through that heel, squeezing that butt to stand, and controlling myself back down. For this, just like the single arm kettlebell sit-ups, we'd like to do 3 sets of 10, and that would be 5 per leg. Okay, the first 2 exercises, we got to work on our core for the first one. On the second one, we got to work on stepping out of that lunge with the weight bearing down on us. This next one is going to be for that overhead press or that stability overhead. Normally, when we do a half kneeling kettlebell press, which is what this is, I like to press with my arm with the knee that's on the ground. So if you notice here, I'm actually pressing with the same knee that's up. And the reason that we're doing that is that's what mimics the standing up out of the Turkish Get Up. So what you'll see here is my left knee is on the ground and my right heel is up, and I have a 90-degree bend on that right knee, and I am pressing with that right arm, making sure to keep that weight really close to that midline, and I'm holding that weight up overhead for a good 2 count. And I don't want to waste an opportunity to work on that eccentric motion. So I'm actually going to give myself a 2 or 3 count on that way down just to continue to help build that stability strength. On this, we're also looking for 3 sets of 10, 5 per side, but it's totally up to you on how much you want to do. So once we feel comfortable with that accessory work, or we're ready to perform the actual Turkish Get Up, I like to think of 5 different points that I take myself through when I am doing the movement. The first thing that I'm going to focus on is making sure that the same hand and knee are in the air at the same time. So when I'm laying down on the ground, if I'm doing a right arm Turkish Get Up or I'm leading with my right arm, my right knee is facing towards the ceiling and my left leg is out straight. I then have my arm, my left arm, out to the side. So I'd be making an L with my left arm and my left leg. I think L because I love Turkish get-ups. That's how I remember it. Now from that position, this is where that 5Q phrase comes in. First thing I think about is pinning my elbow to the ground. I then plant my palm. From there, I will push my hips up. I will then sweep my leg underneath me. And from that position, I stand up out of the lunge. To go back down, I just go in reverse order. So I step back with my left leg because the dumbbell is in my right hand. I take my left arm out to the side and I lean over to the side, imagining that somebody is pushing me over from the right side. Oftentimes what we see is people sitting back on their heel. Again, what I like to think about is literally being topped over or pushed over like a tree. From there, I have my hand on the ground. I have that nice line from my right arm down to my left. Scaps are engaged and locked in. I sweep that leg back through and then lower myself down nice and slow. Okay, I have my points of performance. I'm not quite ready to do it with a weight yet, so what are some different options? What we like to have people do is a half Turkish get-up. So what you'll see here is I take myself through those different positions. I have my right knee up, left arm out to the side. I pin that elbow towards the ground. I plant that palm. I push those hips up. I sweep that leg through. Instead of standing though, I'm gonna hang out here, I'm gonna get comfortable, and then I'm gonna go back down. So I bring my leg back through, back down onto that forearm, and then roll back down onto those scaps. Once I feel comfortable there, I'm ready to do a no-weight Turkish get-up. What the no-weight Turkish get-up looks like, same thing as the half, except I'm gonna stand up out of that lunge position. Once again, right knee in the air, right arm in the air. Left arm is out to the side. I make that L because I love Turkish get-ups. Pin that elbow to the ground. I plant that palm, push my hips up, sweep that leg through, stand up out of the lunge, and I've completed half of my Turkish get-up. Unfortunately, I have to get back down. So to do that, I take my step back, left arm down to the side, lean back, sit through. Okay, I'm comfortable with that no weight Turkish get-up. For some people, doing the Turkish get-up with no weight is no problem, but the minute they go to try to stand out of that lunge position, that overhead load is just too much for them. So what we have as a good alternative is I take myself through that position. When I get into that single arm overhead lunge position before I stand, I'll actually bring that weight down into that front rack position and stand from there. Very similar to my tall kneeling to standing, right? So what this would look like, right knee in the air, right arm in the air, left arm is out to the side. I roll over and I pin that forearm to the ground. I plant that palm. I push my hips up. I sweep that leg through and I stand up out of that lunge. But before I stand, I bring that weight down into that front rack position. I stand up. From there, what I would like to see is you guys do that overhead press with that weight overhead. Now for a lot of people, they're comfortable in that because they can allow themselves to get stabilized, they can get stacked, and I work myself back down. If you're not quite there yet, you can always just do that half Turkish get-up from that position. As you can see, there's a lot of steps to the Turkish get-up, and there's also a lot of varieties that you can do. Whether it be a dumbbell, a kettlebell, or a barbell, the Turkish get-up is a great exercise to hit a variety of different planes of motion with a variety of different muscles. I hope you enjoy this, and let us know if there's anything else you'd like us to touch on.